What's your wildest high school secret? There's still a good pint of Jack Daniels hidden inside the ceiling from 10 years ago. I was at a party in my senior year of high school. I didn't know the guy who lived there, so I didn't investigate when I smelled pot coming from the back of the house. But I did notice that among the half dozen or so teenagers coming out that room later, a couple of adults were with them. One of them was my chemistry teacher, who seemed rather surprised to see several of his students in the room. He quietly left the party. Not high school, but one of my teachers opened YouTube and it was filled with SZUL videos. I myself freshman year and then fell in mud on purpose and made sure everyone saw so I could say it was all dirt. No one wrote with a Sharpie on the outside of the third story window. I did it. On the inside. Mirrored. I had a really good friend in the 12th grade who had killed himself, and for the rest of the year I'm pretty sure I was the only one that had ever realized he left. My elementary school art teacher was a cool ass hippie. She had a clay jar that said fairy dust on it that had glitter in it, and she'd sprinkle it on our heads. She gave us animal crackers. Smelled like patchouli. She abruptly left around when I was in 3rd or 4th grade. Apparently she had cancer, and a year or two after that, she went to a gas station, doused herself in gasoline, and set herself on fire, killing herself. Also, my elementary school science teacher was cool as, and everyone loved him. He would bring in his pet iguana and let us have water bottles at our desks. This was a big deal in 5th grade. For sure. I thought he was so great I gave him my prized possession of dead moths that I collected. A couple of years ago he got in a fight with his adult son and his son shot him and killed him. Very small town, so it was unbelievably shocking. Kinda still is. Our boarding school mascot was a tree. Lol. That was on the campus in a prominent spot. On mischief night, I had study hall with 2 other students. We were all sociable but not close friends with one another. We decided to completely TP the school tree and stole loads of rolls from the library bathroom. We snuck out of our dorms after midnight, absolutely covered this massive tree in toilet paper, and snuck back in. We didn't know the next morning was when all the new incoming freshmen visited, starting with a tour under the school tree. It also rained, so the tree was dropping globules of wet paper for days. The deans of the school flipped and assumed they knew who did it, notorious senior pranksters, but couldn't prove it or punish anyone. 12 years later, I mentioned in passing to my BFF from high school that I was the teeper, along with these 2 other random people. He was shocked, and had never for a second thought it would be any of us. Not the most wild crime, but it is satisfying to have gotten away with it. Sold tons of pirated video game discs that I would torrent and burn from home. Not from a rich family, but I was a baller at school. I was a businessman. A kid at my high school ended up lighting his house on fire and killing his dad, brothers, and some of his sisters, I think. I remember his mom and one sister were alive. His one brother, who I was kind of friends with, was over at his friend's house for the night. It was completely intentional. They found him at the hospital trying to kill his mom and sister. Maybe not a secret, but it was still wild. The school has had 4 microwaves blown up over the course of 4 years. The first time I told a guy to put in a pack of raisins. Explosion. The second time, some freshman put in bag of Sour Patch Kids. Explosion. The third time, a senior put in 8 bags of popcorn into the single microwave. Explosion. The fourth time, someone put some sort of metal thermos in it. Explosion. Also, Daffa kind of high school has an astronomy teacher. 8 kids in our senior class committed suicide. Our ancient history teacher, a man in his 60s, was busted for having a minuscule amount of marijuana, and he went nuts in class outing parents and prominent town leaders as cocaine dealers. Okay, so you're from Riverdale. I had a music teacher, married with a kid, mid-30s. There was a rumor going around that the teacher was sleeping with a student. but nobody knew anything for certain. Their interactions were far beyond a normal student-teacher relationship. Fast forward to when the student turned 18. And the teacher left his wife and married the student. They are still married and I believe they have a couple kids now. My friend's mom was a math teacher. The summer before I was in her class I had the brilliant idea to find notes or tests or whatever to cheat with because I was terrible at math. Whenever I was at their house I'd try to stealthily look around. After a few visits I was getting frustrated at finding nothing and expanded my search zone, eventually leading to the parents' bedroom once when everyone was outside. I didn't find any math notes, but did find a drawer with lingerie, toys, lube, etc. The horny part of my brain took over and I snatched a pair of lacy underwear, shoved them in my pocket, then went outside and made an excuse to go home. On the first day of school I realized, obviously, she kept all her schoolwork in the locked filing cabinets in the classroom. I stole my math teacher's laced panties. Before school started, as marching band kids would have Heck Week where we practice marching band stuff all week, so we were ready for the first games of the season. School picture day was also that week. That day I had gotten so stoned with the sousaphone player that I passed out waiting in line to have my picture taken. Someone's nurse mom rolled me out on a chair and gave me some water. And to this day everyone involved thinks I had heat exhaustion or something from marching all day. I didn't really have any wild secrets. My first girlfriend could fist herself. But that's not even my secret. I had two buddies in HS that got with an honor student. They went over to her house on a Sat. Since her parents were out of town, she put jam on her PSSY for them to lick off, then she got her little brother's aluminum baseball bat and ate herself with the big end. At least that's what they told me. I managed to hide my pregnancy. I had her 2 weeks after graduation. No one in school knew. Thank God for hoodies and being a very small woman. Even when pregnant. It helped that there were 5 other pregnant girls that year for people to focus on. Can't wait for the YouTube video of a robot reading the replies alongside some dumb SI thumbnail for clickbait. It's not that wild. But the janitor, a friend of mine, excused me from first 2 classes in the morning, made me bed in our theater hall and let me sleep for those 2 classes. That's because I had an exam in the 3rd or 4th class and sleepless night, not studying. Just bad night. I got the best mark on that exam. No one knew I slept in school. Not crazy wild, but I guess a scandal. We were juniors and one of the younger teachers, okay but like 30, lived in the apartment across the hall where we were partying. Unclear as to how he showed up, but at some point was drunk and sitting on the couch with one of the girls on his lap. That's all I recall before they disappeared together. Monday rolls around and, to no surprise, it got out. For reasons also unclear. None of us said when we were all grilled by the office staff. Without proof anything happened, homeboy is still teaching there. As far as I know. Coaches were secretly getting it in with underage students. A lot of us had our suspicions due to the coaches always riding around with girls on their carts during lunches A and B. But ultimately we were just like whatever about it. We weren't surprised when one was fired our senior year. And another 2 years later. I think there was a string of at least 3 or 4 coaches getting arrested for it. My high school was pretty crazy. We went on a school trip to Germany and the hostel we stayed at had windows that could be completely taken out in fire emergencies. So me and my friends would take out the window at night and use the drain pipe to scale down the building, was only like 2 floors up, and go take in Germany's nightlife. Nothing like coming back at 4 AM and drunkenly climbing the pipe. I smoked cigs and drank beer with my next door neighbor teacher. She was cool. I never went inside her house and our backyards were open, no fence, so I was still at my house basically. Nothing sexual. She was not a pedo. In the lights room in my high school theater there was a couch that no one sat on because some tech crew got to rehearsal early and heard a couple going to Pound Town from outside the door. The room was locked. None of the students had keys. And the couple was gone when the tech head opened the door. So, no one ever found out who it was. I was the one receiving the pounding. There was a way to get to lights from backstage with an easy to pick lock. Snuck in. Boinked. Snuck out. Never suspected. Some of my cousins go to my old high school and apparently the couch is still there and is still referred to as the SX couch. So that's my secret legacy. In the 90s, the school districts and local liberties all used the same BBS software that was just reskinned to their specific hues. This software was also used in a lot of local boards. There was a pretty no backdoor that allowed you to gain admin rights if you hadn't applied the appropriate patches. They of course had not applied the appropriate patches. For a fee I would go in and change your grade for the report card print. I would change it back after they were sent. I didn't want the exploit discovered. I made a grip for about 2 hours work every semester. The hottest girl in the school gave me her copy of Anthony Kiedis' Scar Tissue. Inside she had burned me a copy of her favorite RHCP songs. I just looked at this as a nice gesture and didn't think much of it. 30-year-old me wants to slap high school me in the face. I read this as regret and not secret. I appreciate that I'm not getting hated on for it though. All those cuts, bruises, grass stains, cracked ribs, and broken teeth went from playing football. Sorry mom. There was Fight Club at school with like 30 members and we did not go easy on each other. I guess it can still be a secret if it's a shared secret. You're breaking the first and second rules of Fight Club. Worked at McDonald's my senior year. We used to have our girlfriends come over after closing. 12:30. We would drink, watch PRN and go in the ball pit playground area. Sticky ball pits will have an even more threatening aura from now on. I gave my girlfriend a kitten for her birthday. The secret is that I did it cause I hated her. And at least this way, I'd get to play with the kitty when I was at her house and it gave me something to look forward to. Brought a 1 liter of Coke to school. 50/50 mix of Bacardi and Coke. Put it down in the center of the lunch table and the underclassmen around me all took swigs and passed it around. I was 18 at the time and they were all minors. Vice principal even walked by us a couple of times but didn't stop to investigate. Damn. So either my high school is just very mild compared to the ones in this thread. Every year we had a student versus teacher basketball game. The main Chad McChadington pulled me aside 15 minutes before the game and asked me to smoke. Him being the most popular and sought after guy and me being me. I said okay. I had a blunt with wax on it. We got super stoned and he went on to play. Not just stoned. We were properly destroyed. Like autism. Eggs running on administrative level high. I sat in the bleachers and watched this dude high out of his mind face off all the teachers, security guards and principal and dunk on them. No one even suspected he was high. The wildest thing I did in high school was the time I snuck into the library during the afternoon pep rally. Now at the time, I was running the gaming club. So I had the then brand new Nintendo Switch, its dock, and a copy of Breath of the Wild in my book bag. Our school also had these giant touchscreen monitors with HDMI support in every classroom, including the library's computer lab. So I pulled up the most comfortable chair, plugged that bad boy in, and played about 2 hours of BOTW. Giant screen experience. By the time 2:30 hit, I packed up my stuff and bailed before the librarians could ever figure out I was there. Probably my favorite high school memory. Used Sam Inside to get the hash of my computer teacher's password. This was on a Windows XP machine like 11 years ago. Found the correct answers to the tests and printed them off for me and a few friends. One of the few classes I got an A+ in. Computer teacher was always suspicious because I was always playing games or messing around, but yet aced every test along with a friend who sucked at computers lol. Also not a secret but me and a beauty created flashbang powder in science class. We did test it out beforehand and used too much and basically set off the school fire alarms. Senior year. I got directed by a janitor to grab some towels from the janitor's closet to clean up a spill in my classroom. To get to the closet I had to pass by the teacher's staff break room. I saw an open teacher's edition algebra book and no one around. Easiest year for math. One of my classmates shotgunned his parents dead and went to prison. I liked the guy. He was a good kid. He was liked by all. He never did anything bad to kids in school. He never made fun of or picked on other kids. He was slightly popular. Co-ed sports, especially ones with extended bus rides and hotel stays, involve lots of banging and coxswains put out. Also, dry hotel bathtubs are pretty uncomfortable. Was in stage crew. Got a blowjob up in the roof catwalk from girlfriend while hundreds of people were watching the annual musical. Never missed a spotlight cue. No one saw or knew. Never told anyone I went to HS with. I went to boarding school. Over the course of about a month, I reverse engineered the school's master key system and cut myself a master copy. So when everyone else was locked in their dormitories sleeping, I could go wherever I wanted. I explored the whole campus. The IT building. The gym. The decommissioned building that had all the asbestos in it. Not the best idea. In retrospect, there was an enormous smokestack on the far side of the athletic field and I climbed it. There was also an observatory on the roof of the science building. The telescopes were stored in a room locked by the master key. One night I got some friends together and at 2 AM we had a party in the chancellor's office. Those were good times. Summer after my junior year. I slept with my best friend's sister. He doesn't know. And we did it every chance we got. Guy I went to high school with got kicked out of our school and not too long after that overdosed over a weekend. A teacher made a comment somewhere along the lines of he got what he deserved. I didn't even know the guy. Just knew of him. I went home that night and created a fake Yahoo email account and emailed every single teacher and staff member about what the teacher said and pretended to be a rich donor demanding an apology in front of the entire school at the end of the upcoming end of year assembly by the teacher who made the comment, or I would never donate another dollar. The next day I saw a couple teachers reading my email on their computer. So I know it was a conversation topic among the teachers. I got a couple responses. One from my English teacher saying he could tell it was a student email from the emotion it was written with. There was no apology in front of the school. But I know the teacher who made the comment was thoroughly embarrassed. I never told a single person about the email. The principal likely used her connections with local and regional politicians to cover up a huge scandal involving cheating during the finals. Some seniors managed to send one of their parents, a lawyer, no less, infos about the exams topic, and the mom put the answers on the school's bathroom windowsill. The students went to the bathroom and got the answers. But the exam supervisor got suspicious about the unusual coming and going. Checked the bathroom and found the papers. They called the cops. The finals were suspended but eventually went on as scheduled, with the kids involved getting top marks. Later on there was a trial for fraud. But to nobody's surprise, they were all acquitted for some reason. The kicker? They were all upper class kids and the principal was a staunch communist back in the good old days. But I suppose class struggle took the backseat to the school's and the principal's good name. I lived a double life in high school. My home life was spent manufacturing amphetamines while I played nice at school. None of my friends knew for years that I was a cook. I gave my friends weed to keep them away from the harder drugs. Once I got older, about 17-18, I realized the people who raised me were ed up and manipulated my loyalty. A mentally handicapped kid shoved pennies up his cat's ass and killed it. After that secret, he then got in a car crash and got a student killed who was a decent fellow. Then moved away and talked about how he didn't regret a thing and glad the student died on social media. Made multiple accounts and harassed the family and friends of the student who passed away. Then proceeded to make a school shooting threat which got him arrested. But since he doesn't know any better, nothing was done about it. You. Troy. I was targeted by my teacher because I was eyeing her daughter. She then apologized to me out of the blue because it was proven I wasn't sleeping with her daughter. It was another dude. I'd finger Makiat with this girl on a weekly basis who was dating one of the more popular dudes in school. I'd probably get my nose broken if anyone found out. We shared a photography class and it started with going on little photography trips around the school yards. I'd snap photos of her and she'd get turned on by them. She got turned on by pictures of herself. Drunk enough to prom 98 party. My senior GF and I got naked in our big sleeping bag in a tent with 5 other people passed out in it and proceeded not to lose our virginity because she was on her period. No one else in the tent ever found out. Despite her writhings. We still had fun though. Jacked off in the bathroom because I was uncontrollably horny. I would pay the student office assistant every week for vacant lockers and their combinations to stash tons of weed in. We had police as security at our school who would bring dogs sometimes. I would rotate lockers and keep it all split up. I would never have anything on me. Once one of the lockers got busted and they never found out whose weed it was. I accidentally caught my teacher watching PRN during lunch when I went back to get my phone and I sort of blackmailed him into giving me a good grade in the class because chemistry is hard. Apparently it wasn't the first time someone caught him either. Friends of mine sold weed at age 16 or so. I thought they could do better so I invested in them. They sold kilos and kilos of weed. It's years later now and every now and then I still wonder how we never got caught and what trouble we would have gotten into if we did get caught. Edit. Damn, I didn't expect all these upvotes. Thanks all. I got some gone wild pics on every year for my birthday from my best friend Oss's girlfriend. I didn't feel bad when he took a swing on me when he found out he wasn't going to graduate, which meant he couldn't go into the Marines. Group of girls had lesbian orgy and recorded the act. School authority never found out. At least till we graduated. IDK. Knowing people jerked off to kids having sex in the back of the bus. My soccer coach heard someone say quietly in the back, while the coach was in the front, "How the hell do people miss some kids eyeing and others jerking off to that eyeing?" I once farted so loud. You know, a fart that sound like a whistle that would crush your oh so precious social status in high school, during a lecture period while I was focused on reading. PPL turned toward me for a second. I was panicking so I turned toward the fat guy next to me and everyone assumed it was him and start laughing. I was so relieved, but I still feels bad for him to this day. As a fat guy. Dude, I have way too many that I'm way too ashamed of. Got super drunk at a party and got butt naked and let a girl go down on me in front of everyone. I'm a girl. I was like 17. Yeah, it was hard to live that one down. I loved to drink back then. Edit. I had my ceramics teacher. But did he then fall asleep while toking a joint and burn his house down? I sprayed a kid's pepper spray into his locker. Not the brightest idea in the world. The whole hallway filled with it and people were coughing pretty badly, including myself and the kid. The faculty spent the next week trying to figure out what caused it and I guess eventually gave up. I once traded nudes with, most of, a sleepover party through Snapchat. Girl I was flirting with at the time was at a party when she sent me pre-taken nudes. I sent her nudes I took in the moment, not realizing she sent old pictures. She admitted over text that she was at a party with her friends and all of them had seen my dick. But it seemed like they were cool with it, because they sent a few group photos of them simultaneously flashing tits to egg me on and keep going. It's a secret in the sense that I've never told anyone that story before, but there were probably 7-8 people at that party. 2 of them didn't participate out of nerves or whatever. Ultimately nothing came of it. I never did anything with the girl I was flirting with. Some of her friends gave me their numbers for FWB things, but I wasn't into them and didn't pursue anything with them. Still felt cool.